The body is the lowest transmuted state of what we call the animation, the pulse. The body is puppeteered by the energy. The energy is puppeteered by the spirit. The spirit is puppeteered by the consciousness. The consciousness is puppeteered by the pulse, which is what we call the mother, which is the animation to all things. So the pulse is constant. It never leaves. It is eternal and permanent. This avatar is a gift that you're given from the heavens, and your mission is to condition the body to emanate that immortality. You can eat all the veggies you want, drink all the juices, sleep all you need, but that's a diminished return if you don't access your own immortality. You have to own that. When you own that, all bets are off.
So I'm just here in Sydney Airport, and I realize I haven't done my intro for my podcast. My awesome guest, I welcome back to the show, San Qing. And I've literally, gosh, look at me. I look like I've been up since 3 a.m., which I have, flying back after 2 days in Wellington and Palmerston North in New Zealand, running our Living Flow workshops. It was incredible. We had 150 people turn up to them, and yeah, amazing. So anyway, the conversation with San Qing today, if you're watching this, is phenomenal. I love this man. He's got a huge heart. He's actually been very supportive on my journey as well, as I've gotten to know him more and more through first initially meeting him on the podcast. And it was awesome to welcome him back. And you know, if you even stay to the end of the podcast, he shares something with me that actually got me very emotional and moved me to tears. Yeah, just enjoy it. It's a great conversation as we continue to dive into this work that we all do and share and love, and want to get it out to as many people as possible. So wherever you are in the world watching this, please be sure to let me know in YouTube below. If you enjoy the podcast, obviously subscribe to it and hit the like button, or even share it with a loved one or friend. This continues to get these messages out there. If you think they're important, then please help pay it forward as well. Enjoy this podcast with San Qing. And if you want to find out where we're up to for the rest of the year around the world, in Croatia, Australia, whatever it might be, links are below as well. Much love from me, and I'll see you soon. San, welcome back to the podcast, my man. So good to see you.
Brother, so great to see you.
Our last podcast did exceptionally well. And I remember getting off that podcast thinking, my God, I've literally scratched the surface with this man today. And, you know, you took us on a journey, and I got to learn a lot about you. And certainly for people listening to this, there'll be links below to your last podcast, so be sure to check it out. But just very briefly, because there'll be new listeners today coming in, and I will use the same question, but, you know, if we were at an intimate dinner party and you sat next to a stranger and they asked you, what do you do for a living? What are your passions? How would you respond?
I bring people together and separate them from their personality to find their true self.
Oh, that's a better answer than last time, mate. How do you define the person? Do you feel that we're even aware of the personality, or we're so enmeshed in everything that we've just forgotten?
Well, it's sort of like the badge of honor when people are on the path of self-realization. They're like, oh, that's my personality, and now I'm in my divine self, and I am all things, and I'm nothing at the same time. And most of the time, it's the walking or crawling before you run that takes that big step or leap of faith to find that center. And so this always comes with, I got to take my personality on and off, and realize that this is where I'm truly emerging with the light. I'm emerging with the holiness. I'm emerging with the oneness, however you want to perceive it, God, Tao, Buddha. This is where I feel at home. And then when the jagged sort of fringe benefits of your personality, because that is really an external influence of who you truly are, and you start to consume the energies that are what you perceive as your identity. And furthermore, you're attempting to scratch the surface and fall into the center because it's an intuitive thing. You realize something's coming from here, the old truth teller, but you just not so sure. I'm a little emotional. I'm a little too in my head. I'm a little too analytical, introspective. And this is where we start to get excited about the possibilities, because it just takes one moment, one trip, what we call moving from being misaligned to realigning yourself as whole. And it always comes back to what we call the material, this state of energy potential that we're all creating in. It's how do we define ourselves, and how do we get that cursor to the center of the computer screen and be able to focus our attention so that we can make something from what seems to be distorted. And that's really what energy is. It's a distorted perception. And
Wow.
you're crafting as a creator.
There's a lot in that, mate. They really defined and breaking it down, and is to we must become aware, and with that awareness, where we place our attention. Truly, and how do we then start to do that? Because even in the spiritual community, it's so easy to fall into our identity. I am this healer. I am this master. I am this guru, or whatever it might be, even though we say we're not. And it can get enmeshed. And actually, because you mentioned, did you say drawing energy in from
Yeah,
that?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, this is what I refer to as observing the observer. And that's when you know you're dead center. You're on point with your true nature. And we refer to this within Taoism as the pulse, which is the animation of all things. So if you were to sort of visualize a chart of how things are created from earth to heaven and back again, it always starts within Taoism as the pulse, the magnetism that animates the consciousness. The consciousness animates the spirit. We call it the Shen. The Shen animates the energy. The energy animates the body. And you can feel that charge. We're feeling it right now. It's an expansive, oscillating charge. It's sort of like shoots through you as an awakening. And that's where we're really on point, because we're playing with what we call the substance. And this is energy potential, because as much as everyone wants to go outside to find their true self, ascend to heaven, ascend to Tao, God, Buddha, it really, you return to this center point where no matter what, as we refer to it as the great bellows, the bellows is a perception of Taoism where everything is contracting and expanding at the same time. And so that is the lens of reality. And if you choose to, your mission, if you choose to accept it, Ethan Hunt, is to find that center point. And when you find that center point, all of a sudden, all bets are off. It's a very indigenous, ancient sort of belief system from most practices. The relationship between the sun and the earth is that merging of those 2 points, because the sun's transmission ultimately hits the magnetic potential of the earth, and we form this light spectrum. And what is more familiar than a light spectrum than the energy that is casted within the human body, which is a macro of a micro? And that's why you always look for the center point of the rainbow. It's right here. And that's when the magic starts. And this is where you start to realize that, oh my goodness, I didn't have to leave anything to go anywhere. And this is why we refer to this within Taoism as, let the man who has never left his village, let him know he has seen the world. Because it's right here. It's right in that ooey gooey center. Now, many mystical teachers of alchemy will flex on this idea of the rainbow body. Come with me, I'll teach you the alchemical process to activate the rainbow body that is inside you, that energetic architecture. And most importantly, people need to understand, when we talk about the currency, shout out to my dear friend Gary, he calls it the current, and you see it. That currency is energy. The currency of this realm that's most important to any seeker to a knower, from observing the observer, is your attention. that is the most valuable commodity that you have. And with that, you use your intention to form these different variables of energy, and they have multiple variables of profile, energetic profile. And as you know, as you are tuning your barometer, you're tuning forth your body, you're becoming more and more sensitive to these energies. And I always challenge someone that says they're subtle. They're not subtle. They're very, very absolutely vibratory and expansive, and they're full body experiences. And once you tune into it, as we've spoken before, you're in your own mastery and you're able to access that through your heart, and your body becomes a tuning fork. You can literally feel everything, which is it virtually goes against traditional science and neurology. You would have any neuroscientist go, you know what, that's not possible. The brain is not sympathetically innervated. You cannot feel the third eye. The third eye doesn't exist. But you and I both know when you go on this practice and you cultivate that state, that magnetism, which is the animation to all things, you can access anything and feel the density and the energetic profile of a cell all the way up to bone structure, your blood, your flesh, your muscle, your brain, your organ. Anywhere you put your attention with intention creates. And then you develop what we call sensory perception. And this is part of the alchemical process that people get kind of blown away by, because within Taoism, it sort of seems a little benign. It's like, oh, okay, you're working on senses. Well, within that sensory perception, the energetic architecture that we call alchemy, Nidan, internal alchemy, is as such clairvoyance, mediumship, channeling, physical healing, mental, emotional healing. Anything that you can capture as potential can be materialized in this state. That's the beauty of what we're talking about. And the Fa Jun, which is what we call the substance, this feeling, when I move my hands and oscillate them on the other side of the world, you feel it there in Australia. You're feeling this connection. This is what we call unity. This is what we call, to some of my parapsychologist friends, is psychokinesis. Or furthermore, if you're a magician that wants to play on illusion, this is a PK touch, only it's for reals. This is not a figment of our imagination or some sort of psychosomatic experience. It's real, very real.
Question for you then, because we've spoke off air as well, right? And I struggle to talk about myself too much, but you know, in terms of my own transition in and what's going on, because like you said, I actually don't want to draw my identity to that from that. So that's why I think I do struggle with it, even though there's things happening and continuously evolve. And my question to you is, what do you think happens with the, because it's clearly in my own journey, there's an adaptation that's going on to be able to hold the energy that wants to move and the resonance that's happening. Okay. From like you speak about the blood, the flesh, the bones, the tissue, there's some, like I know it, there's something going on for it to be able to happen, because otherwise if I place my attention on it, why don't I just access it? Or why doesn't anyone just access it if they just become aware and place their attention? I'd love to know your thoughts on this, because I've had people, scientists, people that understand biology really well, and not many, only Bruce Lipton is one of the few that I know speak of and actually put science behind how these things can actually coexist and adapt to it, that energy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, energy would have to be the very fundamental understanding of the electromagnetic field that runs through your body that makes it possible for you to be alive. That's just a fundamental sort of biological understanding. Now, to turn that into a substance that can be transmuted as if it's like what we would refer to as the plasma, where you can touch it, you feel that density. And as you merge into something, it's like you're Spider-Man. You can reach out and touch it. You can literally project yourself from this space into anything and feel the detail and the intricacy of the energetic profile, whether it's the sun, whether it's a cup, whether it's you and I unifying. And when I say that, when I do this, you feel the opposing flow and pull of that energy in your physical body. Your aura is now oscillating. It's like a very, very bright golden aura, which for someone, when you ascend, you will start to understand that there's certain elements that you pull into your field that cannot be faked until you make that transition. And so most people don't understand that until you start to develop these sort of skills of awareness where you can read auras. Those elements will be very clear in a very well cultivated individual. And you pull gold in, platinum, silver. That's inherently part of the auric field when you access that level of awareness. It's just part of the alchemical process. Doesn't matter what stretch of indigenous practice you may form, whether it's Hindu, whether it's Taoist, it doesn't matter. You're going to see these elements very clearly within that cultivator's auric field. And so this substance, if you put it from a alchemical process, we refer to the three treasures as the pineal, thalamus, and pituitary gland. These are the alchemical fun factory that you use within the chemistry of the external state. And you pull in through what we call self-receptors within the skin. These are antennas that draw that energy deep within the flesh and the skin. And you use the alchemical fun factory to cultivate whatever energy potential you choose to, writing the culture medium we call the blood. And we shuttle it into anything and everything. And the more and more you condition yourself, and this is where we've spoken before about this chi packing, and you're going to walk away today with that practices, is to understand how to embody and emanate that from the flesh. That is not a transitory delusional state where I think I got it, no, I don't. Like the undulating flame that you reach for and it's elusive, it moves to somewhere else. And then you go for that and it moves to somewhere else, which is part of the process of that symbiosis. When you're in this energy, you're always going to play with the interplay of yin and yang. This is just the potential. For you to merge those two together, like conscious and unconscious, being completely aware of everything, there is a path and a practice of conditioning. We call it a stress, adaptation, and then an expansion. There's a conditioning that comes with it. And this can be taught and learnt through alchemy. That's the purpose of alchemy, is to infuse and maestro, have imperium, dominion of what this is, your flesh and blood. The 50 trillion cells potential is what you start to harness and then move in any direction you choose to. And what you realize that most healers, spiritual people, channelers, all this type of titles will form their own version of this interplay. And then what happens is, if they really master it, they'll realize that it doesn't take from them. It expands. But most people tend to consume what they believe is an external thing, not knowing that it's really decaying them internally. And so the more and more you put out without understanding how to harness and saturate the body with this energy, because as I mentioned before, the body is the lowest transmuted state of what we call the animation, the pulse. So the body is puppeteered by the energy. The energy is puppeteered by the spirit. The spirit is puppeteered by the consciousness. The consciousness is puppeteered by the pulse, which is what we call the mother, which is the animation to all things. So the pulse is constant. It never leaves. It is eternal and permanent. Whereas everything within the flesh, thoughts, feelings, emotions, transmuted into a state of awareness, is transitory and it is limited. It is a diminished return. So it's a wave that takes place. It's like a firework. It'll shoot off, it'll have a peak, and then it'll fall back into itself, which is what that expression of the body is. So most people get past it. What I find is a lot of spiritual seekers, they go, oh, I got a teacher, they gave me a transmission, and now I'm Brahman, I'm cosmic consciousness. And that's fantastic. And 99% of the time, this is very true. And then they find this path where they end up finding that they can't hold that resonance, because we go back to the energy. The energy is puppeteering the body. So that energy potential can only be held if you understand that your attention intention forms that distortion creating from this material. And this is vibratory, frequential, resonant. You must be able to hold that resonance like you're holding a note when you're singing. You must be able to maintain that and draw it into yourself. This is where the adaptation, the stress, and then the expansion comes into your rite of passage. It's a conditioning that takes place that is not about the mind. It's not about the personality or the identity. When people start to get down to, as my grandmother would say, the brass tacks, the simplicity of that is it's all energy, frequency, vibration.
I'm loving this conversation. Well, it's not a conversation. I'm loving listening to you, mate, and how you break this down, because it's actually very relevant for me right now. And that hold, like, I've clearly noticed over my period of time that that holding of energy is getting stronger and stronger. But in terms of being able to just maintain it, right, as opposed to feel like I've been dragged through something with my ass handed to, and then limp out the other side and take 10 days to get over. You know, it's improved a lot, because my heart's always been there to want to support others, run retreats, hold space, and ignite a fire within somebody else to know that they have potential too. I think that's my gift, is sharing that inspiring somebody else to take the action. But it's taxing. It's hard work, like working with energy and letting it through. But over time, it's definitely like reps in the gym or something. But my question to you is that, how much do you feel like when you say they have these experiences but can't hold it, right? Is trauma, is past lives trauma, it's karmic debt, or whatever you want to explain it within our field. Because the more I've healed myself, or continue to inquire that healing, the more it seems to liberate this energy that is being held within myself.
Yeah, I mean, this is an expression, right? So, generally speaking, the alchemical process is such for Taoist architecture. You have your upper dantian, which is the sun, and it holds all the light. You have the middle dantian, which is the earth. It holds all the information. You have the lower dantian, that is the moon, and it holds the energy and the magic that comes with it. So you merge the earth and the sun, and you have complete consciousness, and you have dominion over everything within this material state. That charge you got right now was the aha moment. And so when you take those two potentials and then you form the lower dantian, that's where you return to the primordial mother, that pulse, and it is permanent. And so what happens is when people experience a retreat with yourself, or they're identifying with this trauma or triggers that are being evoked through the flesh, you're transmuting it. So the body is the anchor. The body is the animation of this tuning fork. You're able to decipher. You know, I walk into a room, I know that person over there is angry. I can see that person's hangry or even happy. All these different variables come with your body contracting and expanding. This is back to the great bellows. And so when you start to get a rhythm of that, even with not having a really deep, intimate understanding of it, your body will give you very clear signal as to where you are and what you're doing within this energy potential. But when you pull it into the center point, the instant activation is the gateway. So between the breath in and the breath out is that primordial state that returns you to the mother. When you hold your breath, you leave the body and you access immortality. This is what we call the diamond of perfection.
Is that the Wuju or Wuji?
That's the Wu Ji. Yeah, the Wu Ji. Yeah, yeah. And so you can get a instant NDEOBE experience by that holding of breath, because everything else fades away. you are now going back to your primordial state. And the more you condense that and hold that energy, the more it transmutes. And through a process of cultivation, you go from the respiration of the body and you breathe from consciousness. And all of a sudden, all bets are off. It's a whole nother ball game, brother. It's a whole nother ball game.
Are we, with the realms you get into now, are we talking about what ascended masters are achieving, and that, where all the great texts there is being able, like you say, breathe through? How did you phrase that? Not breathe through the lungs, but breathe through consciousness.
You're breathing through consciousness. Consciousness is capturing that. That is the pulse, brother. That is the pulse. That is now. And so, when I start students on specific practices, it starts with a body activation, and then you create a relationship with the breath, because the breath is moving the chi. You call it energy, prana, whatever you want to call it. That is energy. With that, you're getting a very intimate relationship with the yin and yang, breathing in and breathing out. And you start to connect to it. This is what we call the amber effect. It's a cultivational practice where you turn into an amber of a cigarette, where you are just glowing and your breath is attached to everything. And if you draw it and put your attention, intention to anything, it holds that energy. It encapsulates it. It imbues it. This is part of the ancient practices of ritual. And ritual is so important. It's so much a part of anyone's relationship with their pulse, their true self, the mother, the source, the animation to all things. You must nurture that relationship because it's for all of us. And the more and more you slow things down, the more and more they become a part of you. And so the good old rule of thumb is always, if you think it's too slow, it's not slow enough. And that's how you start to accumulate, you absorb. And, and for the audience, guys, experiencing the pulpating of my hands as I'm playing with dough within his auric field, he can feel that. I know he's very humble. He doesn't want to talk about it. I'm sorry I called you out on this, but you are experiencing that density. This is a mastered state of awareness, brother. And people dream about being able to obtain that type of consciousness. And we're right here. And it's available to all of us. And the more and more we move into it. So when you move into this center point, you have two things. You either merge with it or you're repulsed by it, repelled by it. It's part of the nature of the human condition. All the emotions, all the crap that you have, everyone says, I've got my stuff. It's the trigger, the trauma, the whatever. It's like having to move it into the center point. And so the magnetism will draw it in, or it will be a complete repulsion of that magnet, and it'll go in the opposite direction. And what you find from that is pain and suffering in the human form. And you stick with that conditioning, and you own that conditioning, and you forever stay there. You draw it back in, and you just keep playing with it.
Is that why then sitting with the emotions and the feelings that come up, we're then not repulsing that of what you speak, because it is wanting to move through? And it's only until we sit and be with whatever is and be okay with that and be the observer to it, right?
Observing the observer. You're
please.
So you have to be, once again, hold it. So you're sitting in it. It's moving through you. It's not happening to you. And then all of a sudden you'll transmute it at lightning pace, where literally you'll feel it, and it'll feel like a breath in and a breath out, and you'll be able to transmute it as such, because there won't be an identity.
I can feel it moving through my shoulder right now. Like as you speak, it's like the very conversation. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
And this is the unity. What we're experiencing is we're communing right now. This is a very, very ritual-based, nurtured, very potent union that we are having. And in turn, the audience that witness this and experience this are going to also feel it's visceral, it's kinesthetic, it's somatic. That's what's going on here. And that's part of the journey within the body to realize that that pulse starts from the mother and it comes all the way down to something that is what we call heaven to earth, transcending heaven to earth. So then what I refer to as my book, immortality crystallized within the material. You are now able to create within this material state. You're not bound by a limitation, and most people will talk about the story of your soul bringing you here, and this is a place of earth, pain and suffering, misery. You're coming to realize that was a misnomer and a misdirection, because the more and more you merge with your own cultivation of self, you'll realize you are serendipitous, synchronistic. It's the synchrony that we're talking about that literally, no matter what you do, it's like you keep stepping in shit. That's just how it is. That's part of the journey.
Where can this be taken to then? Let me ask you another. Yeah, there's two things that are screaming at me right now. One is, do you feel more and more people are waking up to this potential and understanding it because of that we can access technology and we can access conversations like this, and people are going, you know what, that resonates, I want to lean in? Or do you feel that we're in these planetary shifts and there's humans are adapting, and this is our natural state of being? If this is our divine birthright, more and more wanting to claim it. What are your thoughts
What we
on
call
this? What was it?
It's the default. That's your default. It's your default. That's your true nature. That's who you are. It's like the second you remove the personality, which is not required, your thoughts, your introspective, analytical perspective is not required to be who you are.
It's nuts though, because I could have gone through my whole entire life not knowing this existed or this was possible. I don't think I could, because it was in me. But it's like I think back and think, like, fucking hell, like you can, and people do. It's like the world's greatest secret is right in front of our eyes, and we're not stopping to just take a look and take a drink from it and learn.
And that's the thing. I mean, most people will find that it takes an evoking moment like this conversation for them to pause and go, what is going on here? I am now perceiving things at a whole different level, because this unity that we're having right now just evokes a visceral response, whether you're immersed with an understanding of energy or not. It starts to liberate energy within the observer, and they will start to feel it, whether it's from a heartfelt, a thought felt, or a full body felt experience. They will have some walk away nugget from this conversation, which then provokes and evokes a curiosity to seek more. And for both of us, for me, I mean, I had a banger that was, one thing after another. I took all the credits of past lives and realized them in a matter of days to get to a point of awareness, and then have spent 30 plus years teaching others how to harness that and make it yours. Return to who you are.
Wow. What can we do with this? Like, what is this potential then?
Well, this is a great question, right? Right. Well, if for me, my sole purpose, and I get a directive and a mandate every day from my teachers, which is quite simple. And, I channel my teachers. So if you look at my evolution and my relationship that started as a young boy with this inspired curiosity of superheroes, going all the way through into my being able to embody that and capture a supernatural experience from my first time I meditated to stopping sound, all the way through to witnessing physical healings, and now being a teacher of alchemical process that you can harness and make repeatable at will. This is part of that journey of awareness. So I look at it and I talk to my teacher Latsu that I commune with on a second by second basis, and it's not I'm 3 cents short of $1, This is where I get my information from, right? And you see the channelers that channel their whoever their spirits, and they kind of close their eyes. They kind of look a little bit like Stevie Wonder. When you see me channel, I don't blink. My eyes are open, and it's a completely different expression. You're like, that is not Sen Qing, that is Lao Tzu. And it's like every time my wife witnesses it, it's like, that is insane because you're embodying something. We're always doing it. All of us are doing it. It depends on how much you want to commit to that truth. You want to make it a little hidden secret in the back of your mind that you have epiphanies and you merge with this thing that is a spark of divinity, something that makes you feel good, that inspires you, that gives you curiosity to do what you do, that makes you feel whole, that you want to share this love. That's when you know you're there. And ultimately, what happens, the more and more you condition yourself through these alchemical processes, you find that sensory perception from a humanistic perspective is dissolved, and you start being able to attune to being able to extract the information at will in any place, person, or thing at any moment. And then all of a sudden, you're like, wow, this is almost, this is superhuman. Well, it's actually super normal. It's supernatural for a human being to be able to enter into these states of awareness. But the sole purpose that I've been taught is to share this experience, help people realize their own potential, and then use that to elevate their consciousness. Whether I show them specific Ni Gong practices that seem like it's coming from another planet, whether it's reading someone's auric field or witnessing a physical healing or a manifestation or anything of that nature, it is beyond the beyond that makes people pause and go, well, I can't deny I experienced that. That happened right now. Now it's invoked something within them, which the ultimate goal is to raise humanity, access that sentience, and the superpower is empathy. And all of a sudden, we have that, that song for the 80s, We Are the
Yeah.
World. You literally feel that love. And it is so potent that it is the true nature of who you are. So when you truly cultivate it, you can't fight that selflessness and servitude. It is your default, as we spoke about before. It is something that you cannot fight. It doesn't matter where you are, with who you are, or what you are doing. It's your natural action, the inaction and action of helping and healing others through the teaching. And I mean, you do that in the masses, mate. You're always doing it. You're very humble. A lot of people may just know you as a podcaster, but you are helping people wake up all the time. And this is where you get contorted, right? I'll throw in adjectives, F bombs, S bombs, whatever, because this will bring your attention to who you really are. Because the need to control is lack of control. And when you realize you let go of the steering wheel, that it's going to drive itself, that you do not have to intercept or intersect or manipulate or control anything, that comes from your emanated resonance. As the old expression would say, your resonance precedes you, your reputation precedes you. This is why people gather to places of ancient ritual or a cultivation, whether it's a church or a spiritual site across the globe, where we can find eminent points of emanation that have grids, ley lines, power centers, nodes, vortices. People gather there because this is what's taking place. All the unraveling, like an onion, it just unravels, and you don't have to do anything. Step back, accept and allow, and you will receive. But this in of itself is contemplation, and also it sounds a little woo-woo for most people because they're stuck in that prison mind, that mind prison, where their identity and the experiences they're having are creating their reality. As you are a creator, you're either a consumer or a creator. There's only two ways you can go there.
It's a huge thing. Like if bring it all the way back to the beginning of the conversation, it's kind of almost putting in a bow what we identify with and where is our energy going, or not. And It's interesting. I mean, at this point, I still don't know how I got here. I really don't. Like, it's not through,
Neither do I.
it's not through an analytical process. I can tell you that much for sure. You know, and I really feel being called into actually creating a center or a community space. Like, it's kind of I'm like, how the fuck am I going to do that? I can't afford to do that. Like, I don't
But
know.
you don't need to know. I mean, my mandate was quite simple. I'm building temples and Taoist schools across 9 states. That's my mandate and my directive. And I don't ask the questions. I just continue to follow the path. I continue to merge people with their own realization, and everything else just works itself out. The manipulation is the mind, is the personality. It's not necessary. It's not necessary for you to remember.
Exactly, exactly. Which I am. I'm doing my best, just to be with it. And I appreciate the kind words. When it comes to things like channeling, and you've mentioned, you quipped a joke about two people, think I'm 2 cents short of a dollar, or whatever. How do, for people out there, that how do you differentiate between what's the mind, what's psychosis, and actually what is channeling?
Oh, you feel it. You'll feel it, mate. You'll
You
feel it.
know,
Like when I channel Latsu, it's like a laser beam of energy enters the room. It enters my body. It emanates. You feel chills. You feel heat. You feel expansion, and you know you're in the presence of an immortal. There is no question about that. And it's like just me speaking of Latsu. I'll just say Latsu one more time. You feel the rippling effects through your body, and you're like, hang on a second. I don't need to define that. I'm feeling it, which is evidence of something greater.
it's wild. I had an experience. I think I've spoken on a podcast once. I don't know where, because when I hold space in the hall, and I remember I was in Melbourne. We were in a convent, Abbotsford Convent. This was going back about 18 months ago, and I was holding the meditation, and I feel the field come out, and I feel the space, and I'm really like kind of opening the heart and emanating out, and I always feel like these arms. But mate, this energy came in, and it near like I don't know whether it was doing just to say, hey, have a tickle of this because you got no idea, mate, or so, like it kind of felt like that. And I couldn't move for about 15 minutes after the meditation. People were coming up and saying, oh, that was beautiful, sorry, and I could not get off my chair. It was wild.
Because it comes from here. It'll come from here and out always.
Right.
There's no. I have hundreds of friends that are channelers. We have the same consensus. It's not going to come from here. It's not going to come from the side. It's going to come down like a beam of holy shit. What is going on here? And you can almost replicate that emanation right now. You're feeling it just speaking about it. Your whole aura is starting to oscillate that same vibrational signature. And I say this with confidence because I've been teaching people how to see this stuff for many decades. And it's a conditioning. I want everyone to understand all these types of sensory perception, which I put it's a blanket of all these states, are learned skills. Everyone has the ability. There is no exception to the rule. You just have to condition yourself through the alchemical process for it to reveal itself as whole. Most people, as I was getting back to what we said before, they have their epiphany, they get shot out of the park, and they're like, I'm awakened, I am Brahman, I am cosmic consciousness, I am a spirit, and they don't condition the fundamentals. So when you don't condition your body, you just imagine, if you're looking at it from energy centers, the lower 3 or 4 energy centers that harness the energy within the body are not cultivated and activated. So you stay from here to here, and you become very fleeting, very out of body, very delusional, and you don't feel the intricacies and the profiles of the energies within this material, because that's where you're operating. People seem to forget. It's like you're like, I want to get out of my body. I don't want to reincarnate. I understand that. Until that moment happens, you are operating in this material state. So allow your immortality to shine through and use it for awareness, use it for healing, use it for manifestation. Show people something that would be on their spectrum of reality and awaken them to what the truth is, which anything is possible. That's the true nature of this.
Yeah, they're forgetting the deeper the roots, right? The higher the reach of the branches. We just tend to.
And people get cut off. So they don't. I get a lot of students that are really profound, wisdom teachers, but they're not. They haven't conditioned themselves to the fundamental alchemy, and furthermore, they weren't interested in it. And I'm like, listen, this stuff is fundamental for a metaphysics perspective. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you're committed to a particular belief system. That's not why I teach people this stuff. I teach it because it is the infrastructure of the whole of creation. And when you start to understand the moving components of the metaphysics, then you go, oh, okay, that really helps me. That's necessary. And then you repeat it. The more you repeat it, the more you're like, as Crockett would say, he left his groceries at the meat market. That's not happening. Shout out to Miami Vice, just so you know. And that is where, you're like, holy moly, this is the now moment. And, Guy and I are now dancing in this energy. It's like, it is one of those things where you don't even notice unless you see it, but you will feel it. And that's the part where most people are like, I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm feeling this experience as it should be, because it is an expansive moment. You feel the expansion. You're feeling this robust grounding and then opening that comes up. And you can't fake this stuff. And a lot of people tend to, go deep into stories and they use manipulations and it's short lived. It doesn't. You can tell very clearly, very quickly. Your bullshit meter goes up, and you're like, yeah, thanks for coming on that one.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, because it's like I feel like all my learnings over the years have come through actually just getting into the experiential part of it. I'm actually not very good at learning. I mean, this is a belief, but analytically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it's going to be.
I got to feel my way, and I've always done it like that. But then I mean, I'm a podcaster as well. I speak to many people, and some people, the way they can articulate things and use their mind and break it. But I then do question with certain people, like, are you really living it? Are you actually living this way of being and doing it, or is this just we're so caught up in our identity and our theories and our knowledge base that we're actually drawing that energy from that, as opposed to the very thing that we're talking about?
And that's what Lao-Tzu will always say. If you're thinking, you're not knowing. If you're knowing, you are feeling. And that just trumps everything. It doesn't matter. You and I are dancing this oscillating experience. That is real. Everything else doesn't matter. But what's most important, if you're an alchemist, which we all are, which an alchemist is a creator, and if you break that word alchemy down, it's the arts working with darkness. And that's not darkness like an ominous darkness. We refer to that within Taoism as the pulse. That is the mother. That is never ending. It can never be destroyed or created. It is a constant. And most people have thrown away that sort of throwaway hallmark expression. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. No, energy can be created or destroyed. The magnetism is the permanence. The energy is transient. It's impermanent. Does that make sense? It's completely different. Yeah, yeah, and that's completely different than the dance, the symbiosis between yin and yang, which when we go through the ascending and transcending scope of the metaphysics of Tao, from the animation to the mother, it animates the consciousness animates the spirit animates the energy animates the body, and voila. Now, for an alchemist, for a Taoist alchemist, between the spirit and consciousness is another four levels of alchemy, where we merge with gold, silver, and platinum, the sun, the earth, the moon, and also rubies, diamonds, and emeralds. And that's just a whole nother. It's like I love watching Guy because he's experiencing this as I'm speaking it. He can feel it through his body. That's the potency.
But it's funny because I haven't learned those aspects. You know what I mean? So it's just when you speak of them and that. So it's literally then we're then placing our awareness and intention on those resonances, essentially, right?
Mm,
And learning how
mm.
to use
And
alchemize that.
you alchemize it, solidify it, so that you make sense of this. It's not fleeting. The purpose of you being a spiritual teacher is to make sense of what it is that you're sharing. You can very well just stay in a state where you bring people together, they get super high as AF, and they're like, oh my goodness, I'm transformed. Then they go home, they collapse into their personality, and they have a shit show for another year till you have another workshop. This is the beginning, but part of your mastery is to remember the fundamentals that you can help people make it repeatable, so they're not just fleeting, they are permanent. That is the pulse. They're not just polarizing energies, they are animated for everything. That center point pulse is a permanence. That's the eternal immortal self, the state that cannot be altered or destroyed. It is there forever. It's eternal.
And once you started feeling it, like what I noticed on my journey was that once I started to get a sniff of it, it's like I want that way more than my whole life, you know, and that feeling which allowed me to cultivate that dedication. I think through the when we were speaking off air about my own pain of loneliness and never feeling at home, like within my body, you know, that they were a driving pain for me to start searching deeper and deeper. And then once I started to get the knowing of this or feeling of it, it's like, well, no, I can do this. This is something I can hold on to. And then and I still do. I get up 5 a.m. every morning at the moment and sit with it, you know, because I get excited
Yeah.
to do that.
I mean, that's what I get woken by my teachers about 3 a.m.
Wow.
I train for about 3 hours,
Do you?
and then I start my,
You train
but
through
it's not like
what?
train for three
As
hours
in
of cultivating.
like your own
Well, physical,
inner physical training or inner
no,
training?
no, the
Alchemy training,
alchemy.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. The physical training, I put probably about maybe collectively 9 minutes a week. But once you connect with that iron, you embody it. It's an extension of who you are. So you activate all the hormones in your body, and you keep them topped up with the energy potential. You use the pulse, the magnetism, to just keep them robust. And so you maintain that level of fitness from an anaerobic aerobic level. You're able to maintain that by just touching it. It's just kind of like when we start conditioning the body with cold plunge or sauna or things of that nature. Many, many years ago, probably close to 25 years ago, Lutzu was like, okay, we take people through this particular conditioning where as you go down lower in temperature, you're able to evoke these levels of heat that will regulate the body, as opposed to falling into itself and creating an offline experience where the body is struggling to survive from that stress. And I'm like, okay. And he said, I want you to start just using people that may be a little bit more fragile from the mental emotional state. I need you to start at a baby step level. And quite frankly, you can maintain that by either just putting your face in or your hands in. You obtain that same resonance, like capturing that resonance through the exposure. And then what it does is the longer you hold it, it emanates through the whole body and it becomes regulated. Does
Yeah,
that make
it
sense?
does. It does. Yeah, it's fantastic. One last question before we wrap it up, because I'm aware of the
Yeah.
time. Is what do you think is the human potential once we like in terms of longevity? You hear of you hear of people that have lived to like 500 years old, and that I've heard on the podcast, our DNA has been interfered with about 220,000 years ago, hence why we only live to 120 now. Like all these different things, but with that chi, that primordial pulse, as you put it, and how we start to live, we draw it, we drink it from a different cup. What do you think is the potential of
Oh yeah. I mean, if we got back in the Taoist canons, thousands of years of transcribed events that that put in a permanent logging of what the potential is. We've had immortals equivalent to crystallizing immortality of logged events of 1,000 years. And most recently, in the last 1,000 years, we've had logged events of humans living 2, 3, 4, 500. Now, the way it's taught for me, you have a 63-year cycle. If you meet that first 63-year cycles, you will then continue, and then you pass go, you collect $200, then you enter the next 63-year cycle. And then once you hit that 63rd year cycle, bringing you up to 126, interesting number, way 126, 126, that's my, that,
Yeah, I always wondered about that,
uh,
actually.
and so then you hit the next cycle, which is another 63 years. So you continue, and numerology is like an expression. It's kind of like numerology, alchemy, all these things. These are all expressions of your immortality and how you cultivate it to maintain that now, not in something that would perceive as so external that you're never able to embody it, because that's still the gift. This avatar is a gift that you're given from the heavens, and your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to condition the body to emanate that immortality. And it can come in many forms. You can eat all the veggies you want, and drink all the juices and sleep all you need, and do all the things correctly to maintain the body. But that's a diminished return if you don't access your own immortality. You have to own that. When you own that, all bets are off. Then you start to live this potential, and then you will see it through the expression of who you are, and you will see it. I mean, most recently, I had an event where my youngest son, he literally died in my wife's arms for 2 minutes. Yeah. I watched his life come out of his body, and she was holding him. She was absolutely riveted with absolute mourning. And when I tune into these experiences, you feel what I'm saying. My 5 kids huddled together, learned the alchemy I've taught them for healing. They huddled together, they cultivated the energies that I taught them how to heal, and we collectively, the 6 of us, my wife was a little bit too traumatized. I mean, I do not suggest this for any parent, to witness the life come out of your child's body. I've transitioned a lot of people where it's a celebration as the body, the spirit moves out of the body, and the energy centers collapse and close down. The body starts to collapse and close down. I witnessed it with my son, and he was lifeless and spiritless for 2 minutes. And then we collectively returned him back, pulled his spirit back in. It was as if someone hit an adrenaline shot, and he came back to life. It was unbelievable. And it took me 2 or 3 weeks, brother, for me to then feel into that as a father. At the time, I was being the present moment to witness this miracle, because when I'm witnessing healing, mental, emotional, physical, I'm nothing. That's the only way this works. There's no way you're going to obtain
I
that state of
understand.
resonance.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah, and you feel that sadness, that sorrow that I felt, that loss, and it was unbelievable, because it took me 2 or 3 weeks for me to feel into it as a father and experience what had happened, because it was just that now moment. I didn't have a choice. It was just now, and that's how I operate. People be like, "You're emotionless. You have no attachment." No, because that's not me. I am nothing but a catalyst and a conduit for the resonance to make it possible to affect that change. And my children were just incredible. They were all incredible. I couldn't believe it. They didn't fold, they didn't collapse, they didn't get emotional. They huddled together, and they performed the same exercises that I've taught them. And we witnessed as his spirit moved back into his body. It was the most profound thing I've ever seen or experienced in my life.
Wow. I don't know what to say, mate. That is unbelievable. It's
Well, yeah, it
fuck.
is.
There's somebody that's got 2 young children themselves. Yeah. Wow. Thank you for sharing.
Mate, I don't wish it on anyone. because you watched them. The body was lifeless; it was gone, and his spirit was gone. And yeah, you're experiencing the sorrow and the sadness, the loss that I finally was able to connect with as a father. It took me several weeks. It was like several weeks for me to, okay, now I've got to experience this. Because at the time, it wasn't about me. It was never about me. It was about, is this really the evidence? Is this the end? And had my teachers not given me that insight and the ability to attune to that truth, that would very well have been the end. That's it, the end.
And he's okay now?
Oh, within an hour, he was playing like a little baby. You couldn't believe it. It was like so extreme that you cannot even in your wildest dreams imagine. And like, as a parent, this is where it becomes so powerful when you tune to this truth teller, that empathy is all we need. This is not a hallmark throwaway. That's when you truly have superpowers.
And
And that's the part that everyone needs to remember, refresh, attune to, because once that's who you emanate or what you emanate as the now moment, all bets are off.
wow. San, thank you so much for being on the show, my brother. I really enjoyed again.
Oh, brother, I've got so much love for you, and it doesn't even form in words. I'm just very grateful for you.
Likewise, mate. Likewise. Thank you. Where can people find out more about you, all the good things you're doing, mate? I'll put,
Yeah, yeah,
please.
yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm. You can catch me on my YouTube channel, the Way 126 Experience, or my website. I also have another website called Immortal Taoist Rights that just refines kind of services that I can offer, everything from past life readings to personal interactions with Latsu, transmissions and emanated experiences, and viewing things, activating ley lines, all that kind of good stuff. You want to get supernatural and super mystical, I'd love to give you a dose of that. And furthermore, they can read my book, which will give them the guidelines from 1 to 9 on an intimate understanding of Taoist alchemy. We call that Nidan. Furthermore, you access the power of Nigong, which is your internal power. And that book is called Immortality Crystallized into the Material. And that's also accompanied by Rhapsody Crystallized into the Material, which is the poetic relationship that the seeker has with the Tao, and it comes through the words, and it's infectious. You read that and you will become whole.
Amazing. Thanks, legend. Links are in the show notes, guys. And yeah, until the next time, San, thank you so much, my man.
All right, brother.